Hello, I'm going to be painting a little mini sunset today on this piece of wood. This is very small, about 3/4 of an inch. And we're going to start with a nice yellow background. Now, because this is untreated wood, I do want to do a couple of layers here. So I'm just going to do a single layer, let that dry, and then do another layer on top. If you paint directly on untreated wood, the paint can actually kind of bleed into the wood. So if you have a few of layers of paint on there, it acts as a little bit of a seal. So that's why I like to do that. So here's my wet one. I'm going to substitute it for this one, which is already dry. Same color, same everything. And what we're going to do now is just add a little bit of a sunset here. So I'm going to wet this down because we want to do a blend. You always want to blend onto wet paint. So your paints are wet. If you ever need to, you can add a little bit of water. You could always do a wash, but I find it much easier just to blend into wet paint. I'm going to put a tiny bit of red, there we go, on the corner of my brush. Very, very small amount, maybe a little bit more. And then what I'm going to do is drag that through the top. So I'm going over, you see that part of my brush that's empty is pointing down, and that's going to give me a soft blending area. So I can kind of pull this down, and the bottom of my brush is always going to give me a blending surface, and that's going to give me a beautiful transition, even on such a small surface. Add a little more red here. Sometimes I like to do a choppy sky, but today I'm just going to keep it simple. I'll do a choppy sky for another video. All right, so we have a nice kind of red transition in here. And now we're going to add a little bit of a base for our phone poles. We're gonna add phone poles in here. So I'm gonna add, use same brush, I'm just using a flat brush. It's not anything special, dollar store flat brush actually. I'm gonna add some black, and then I'm just gonna tap it along the ground. Now, there's a little bit of texture within the bristles of my brush. There should be with any brush. And that'll give you just the illusion of grass. So I'm just gonna go tappity tap tap here. There we go. Just straight up and down, and that'll give you just a little bit of texture, which is nice. You don't want too much. Again, we're painting on something so small, so it's hard to go, it's hard to do just a little bit of anything, but you gotta try. So now we have a ground, now we have a sunset. So I have my black. I'm gonna water it down just a little bit for some of the smaller poles, and then I'm going to use the thicker black for some of the larger poles. Now, you do want to make sure that you have a very small brush. This is a 10/0, so we have basically 0 10 times. Normally a detail brush is going to be between 0 and 000, but this is 10/0. So a very fine brush. And we're going to be using very simple 1-point perspective. I'll put my vanishing point down about here, and I'm going to make my first phone pole rather tall. I'm gonna start here. It's gonna be a full centimeter long. And go down nice and smooth. I'm pressing hard here because I want that to actually give me a slightly thicker stroke. So my next one, I'm gonna move a little further away. Remember, my vanishing point is here, so I have to go down towards it. A little bit thinner on that one. Maybe I'll just thicken it up a little bit because I need to get thinner and thinner with every one. So I don't want to get too small too fast. Now a little bit closer. Actually, my vanishing point is going to end up being about the center here because I'm going at quite an angle. And then we go a little bit thinner, closer, thinner, closer, thinner, closer until you have your vanishing point. You can see it going like that. So our vanishing point ended up being a little closer, and that's okay. So now we're going to do the cross on the top of the phone pole, which is a smaller stroke. So you want to keep it nice and tiny. And then this one's going to be even smaller. And this one we may or may not even see. And then by the time you get here, it's just nothing. It's just faded into the distance. I'll add the smallest one there. Now I'm going to make sure I have a little bit more water on my brush here. And I'm going to loop in my little, what are these called? Wires, my phone wires. And you just go a little bit of a curve down. And of course there would be one this way. So I'm just going to do a little turn. And I want to make sure I'm coming out at the same angle. Sorry, I keep turning it here. So I'm just going to go from here, whoop, up to here, from here, whoop, up to here. And that's going to make us feel like we have a couple of another one back here. Now my paint was still wet here, which gave me a little bit of thickness here. But that's actually okay because this would be closer. So what I'm going to do is just, I know it's getting picky, I'm just going to try to match the thickness. And this could be a mistake. Let's go a little thicker as it goes up. Yeah, I think that's pretty good because we have such a big open space here. I think I will add in a sun. Just a nice bright little sun coming down, and I have a natural glow right here. So I'm gonna try to make it quite low. Again, I want my sun to be almost white, but I'm gonna have just a little bit of a white yellow mix here. So the more yellow you have, the less obvious your sun is going to be. And sometimes the sun will even take on a little bit of an orange tint when it gets really low. Depends on the atmosphere, but I'm gonna keep mine nice and bright, and I'm gonna go over here onto the side and just drop in a little circle. All of my details, so I will leave it at that. There you go, a little sunset. I'll put a ruler next to it so you can see the size. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I enjoy these little mini paintings, and hopefully you'll see more of them soon. Bye, guys.